Investors, welcome back to Green Money Momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and we are here for another live earnings. Today, we have the biggest company in the world in terms of market cap and the biggest technology player of them all. They sell the most valuable chips in the world. So much demand for these chips, but only so much supply. And that is how Nvidia has risen to the highest level in terms of market cap. Here we have Nvidia on terms of technical analysis, and it was a decently green day overall. We did have some flat movements, but Nvidia did finish in the green, currently at a price of $224. And when we do zoom out and look at Nvidia on the longer term chart, we do have an upwards bullish trend forming. It does appear that we have had some higher lows and lower highs created within Nvidia. So we're going to get their official earnings results here in about 12 minutes. For the expectations, they are expected to come in at a quarterly with 79 billion. This company earns so much freaking money. It is absolutely insane. So 11 minutes from here, we will see that. And then, of course, earnings are always a two-half game. We have the first half where we do get the official results. We'll see what the revenue comes in at. We will see what they have on the investor presentation, see how the results came in. And then after that, we will also get the earnings per share. Also know this is for Q1 of 2027, which may confuse some because they'll say, Trevor, we are in Q1 of 2026. Well, that is because this is fiscal earnings. Nvidia goes forward with their earnings. And so this is looking ahead into 2027. We will be in the official earnings call here shortly. And then when Nvidia does release their quarterly earnings, we will see it updated here. So I am super excited for this. This is a situation where the tide can help to rise all boats. A rising tide can help all boats rise with it. Nvidia, again, the largest company in the world right now. They currently have a market cap at 5.4 trillion. That is incredible. And overall, the semiconductor sector lately has been looking super bullish. So whether you are in Nvidia, advanced micro devices, if you are an SMH, the semiconductor indexes, or really any of these semiconductor plays, they have been ripping like crazy most recently. Also, what's great to know about Nvidia, this stock is a super bullish, not just for the reason that the stock price continues to increase, but also they do have a decent price to earnings. So technically overextended. Anytime a PE goes above like 25 to 30, that technically is a high price to earnings, but not nearly as high as some companies. Another big player being Palantir, which has a PTE all the way in the 200s, and then a decently down to earth price to sales. So overall, the fundamentals do look great with Nvidia. Overall, the trend is very bullish. It's going to be very fun to see how things are today for Nvidia. But also, I just want to say this is all short term, no matter what happens with today, because recently with the earnings reports with Nvidia, there has been a sell-off with each and every single earnings report in the recent term, despite them coming in with great quarterlies. So there is always the chance that that does happen today. But if that is the case, well, I would say it will likely be a buy the dip opportunity as long as Nvidia does come in and meet these expectations or beat these expectations. And again, a lot of value within these Nvidia chips. So many want to get their hands on Nvidia. Really, we are going into an age all around technology and artificial intelligence, and these Nvidia chips will help to power that future, helping to power that future right now. Looking at the chat here, we have one of our longtime subscribers, Two Wheels Pursuit, my friend. Great to see you here as always. Two Wheels Pursuit, as you guys can all see, does have a wrench next to his name. He is a moderator, and that is because of the longtime support that Two Wheels has shown to the channel. So Two Wheels, I can always count on you being here. By the way, here in a second, I'm just doing something else on my screen. We are going to look at the gamma exposure levels. We always do like to look at that. That just helps us to see what the expected move is. We have another subscriber here, Ivoidy. He says, hello, my friend. Thank you for joining us on Nvidia's earnings. Let me know in the live chat if you are bullish or bearish on the earnings today. Are you bull, or are you betting against the stock? Again, we'll take a look here at the gamma exposure levels here in a second. And we also have great video later planned for you guys. So we always like to look at interesting AI videos. I have another interesting one for you. Give me just a second, guys. I'm just closing out some things. I was doing a lot of work with my business right before I came here on live, but we're going to take a look here at the major gamma exposure levels with Nvidia. This just helps us to be able to figure out where the main cluster is, where the dealers are positioned, where the main contracts are, kind of just what the expected move is. So I find all of this information on Unusual Whales. So very interesting things that you could look at here. Just gamma exposure levels. And let's see, Nvidia, we have Nvidia here. Let's go to the GEX. This goes for the weekly expiration. So this is just very interesting because gamma does help to accelerate delta. So this is where the gamma cluster is. It looks like we have some massive call volume right around 230, 235, 240. And then we have some all the way at 250. In terms of put gamma, the major levels of put gamma here at 220, 212, and 207. So those are quite low compared to where the stock is right now. So we are sitting at 223 in terms of what the bulls want. Again, let's go back to this here. Let's just take a look at call gamma. We have a lot of gamma around 230 here. We have some more around 240 and then 250. So let's draw out these levels here. This will be for the bulls, the expected move. I could see us getting to 230 on an excellent earnings report. So let me draw out this level in Nvidia. Again, oftentimes these levels of gamma do act as quite reliable levels of support and resistance. Truly incredible. You got to know, with the options market, you have the dealers and then you have the buyers, right? And so the dealers ideally want to see as many contracts expire worthless as possible. That is why oftentimes when we do get to major levels of gamma, that's where we start to see these really act as price magnets and also as major levels of resistance. So we have that drawn out there at 230, that acting as a major level. We got some more around 240 and then 250. So let's draw that out here. Let's go out to 240. This would be quite high if Nvidia were to see 240. I'm expecting for the expected move to be more around 230, but let's see. That would be quite crazy. Again, this is a large market cap stock, so probably right here around 230. Let's draw out where the puts want to see the Nvidia stock go today. So we have a lot of put gamma right around at 220. So let's draw that out right there. So there's 230, and then let's draw out 220. This to me is the expected move. If Nvidia comes out with a great quarterly earnings, I see these acting as some major levels of price magnetism today. And then we're going to get back to the chat here in a second. By the way, we have 11 here, so thank you to everyone who has attended. My outfit today is for Jensen Huang because he is always wearing the black leather jacket right there. That is Mr. Jensen Huang's outfit. You always see him wearing the black. I also like this meme right here. This is funny. Nvidia, again, being the largest market cap in the world right there. That's the Floyd Mayweather, the iconic photo of him with all his money. But then there is Jensen Huang. And we got some funny memes here. And then I like this. Brace yourselves. Nvidia is coming. And then we have me pulling up to the Nvidia earnings call like I'm on the board of directors. I own 2 shares. That is so funny. We have the outfits for Jensen Huang. We have the money picture. And then, hey, you know, today, depending on where the directional movement is, if it's not in the direction that you want, don't let people put you down. If you are doing calls or puts with Nvidia, if you are betting on a certain direction and it goes the opposite way of what you feel it may, don't let someone tell you that you are a dreamer, a failure, a loser, a gambler, scammer. That photo makes me laugh so much, especially because this guy semi looks like me. That is pretty funny. And then, you know, a lot talk about how right now we are in the middle of a lot of people think that we are in a big AI bubble, and they think that the bull run needs to come to an end. We talk about this all the time. There are so many bears in the market saying that it is the end of the world. world, but I personally believe that there is going to be more pumps, because just like the legend Warren Buffett said, he said a bull market is like sex. It feels best right before it ends. So I personally think that we still have more pumps before the climax. I don't think that we are at the top of this bull market, despite all the macro guys being super pissed off about what we are seeing right now and expecting for the markets to drain to absolutely nothing just because of some high inflation reports. We have a we have Chrysanthemum. Thank you for joining us. Another moderator on this channel, another dedicated member of Green Money Momentum. Thank you for joining us in the stream today, Chrysanthemum. It's always great to see you. Need Nvidia to blow earnings? Are you looking for Nvidia to blow earnings in terms of like miss on expectations, or are you bullish and want to see them blow through expectations, exceed upside? Okay, perfect. And then even if they post a big number, it may sell off. So prepare for that trend to continue. Yeah, we've seen it time after time, especially here in the recent term. Nvidia will come out with great quarterlies, again, crushing expectations. And overall, this company is still on a crazy uptrend. But we have seen with these earnings, there can be a little bit of a sell-off. But this is where, even as fun as this is right now, it's so important to look past just the very next candle, to have a long-term vision on the markets, whether you are swing trading or long-term investing. I do like day trading, but if you're just looking at the next candle, of course, that does present more volatility. And I'm sure many have sold out of Nvidia so many times because of short-term expectations that went the wrong way. And then, hey, Dame Win, great to see you here, brother. I've seen you here in the comment section of mine recently, so great to see you here. He is a new subscriber to the channel. So my friend, thank you for joining us on the earnings. By the way, we are officially 1 minute away from actually getting the earnings, and then traded options on Nvidia TS today had to dip before earnings just in case. Hey, that is the way to go. Take your profits, maybe leave a little bit. And I always like with options, keeping a little bit of a position, but selling a bulk of the position before a big move. And you may miss out on some upside, but also you do hedge for the possible downside. But I love options trading. Oh my God. I absolutely love options. It's like, I cannot stop thinking about options. Last night I was up till like 4 a.m. reading an options book, and it looks like right now we are seeing some volatility. So the earnings should have just came out. We'll react to the price action here, and then in a second we'll take a look at what the actual results are. But it is looking like we are getting a bit of a sell-off here down to 220. Let's see if the bears can get it down to this level that we were talking about. This is where we have a ton of put gamma. Look at how that really has acted as a major level of support. We've had some dips right off of that level. So let's see what happens again. A lot of volatility with earnings. It looks like we are getting a bit of a sell-off here. Again, just like Two Wheels was saying, don't be surprised. Even if they did just post a big number, these types of movements can happen. And really, this isn't too crazy. Technically here, we are still in the green on Nvidia. And this is just a little bit of a movement. Again, this is such a massive market cap stock, the literal largest out of all the stocks. So I'm not expecting like a massive drop down by like 20-30%, anything like that, but just short-term volatility. And always, these are a 2-half game, so we will get the second half here in a little bit. Right now it is pushing through this major level of put gamma. Let's see where the next level of put gamma lies here for Nvidia. So we have some around 220, and then we also have a major level right around 215. So let's draw out that 215 level there. Let's see, that is where the bears would like to see Nvidia go down to 215. So that would be all the way down to this level. Again, I think that would be pretty drastic, especially with how large the market cap is. I do believe that we are going to remain around the level that we are at right now. I would not be surprised if we do get a bounce back up to around 220. Let's get back to the chat here. Puts about to get cooked. We shall see. Again, right now the puts may be celebrating, but anything can happen with earnings reports. Again, this is just one right here, one candlestick. We could get a reversal right back. And when we do look at technical analysis right now, we have dropped significantly, not only on the candlestick chart at this major level of put gamma, but also we are now low on the RSI and the MACD. So let's see a potential buy the dip opportunity. I heard 6% is the expected move move for Nvidia. Bullish 6% is nice. More pumps before the climax is crazy. Yeah, right. And then always a good channel. Thank you, my man. I do appreciate that. We have a lot of fun here. I like NVTS. Yeah, I saw you commenting about NVTS earlier on my video 2 wheels. I saw you talking about it, so I need to look a little bit in here. And then let's see, we should have the update here 2027. So, oh, it's not even letting me click here. Quarterly presentation. Can't even look at their 10K yet, but you can look at their quarterly presentation. So this is what we will go through here in a second on the earnings call. Revenue in terms of billions. So Q1 of 2027, 81.6. Let's see how that came in to expectations. Woo, look at that right there. Woo! Nvidia crushing, well, I shouldn't say crushing, but beating on those expectations. I mean, kind of crushing $2 billion. That is a ton of money. Wow. Congratulations on Nvidia, again, beating on terms of revenue and then also in terms of earnings per share. So at least in those numbers, it looks like it is positive for earnings right now for what Nvidia just released. But again, Wall Street can be a proven brat and things don't have to make sense. Maybe there's something in this presentation that they don't like. So strong growth across a diverse and customer base, hyperscalers to model builders to AI clouds, enterprise on-premise, and sovereign customers. Blackwell adopted and deployed by every major hyperscaler, every cloud provider, and every model builder. Agentic AI and reinforcement learning represent new CPU growth opportunities. NVIDIA AI infrastructure delivers the lowest token cost and highest token throughput, as shown in latest MLPerf performance and inference X benchmarks. Data center, here's the revenue for the data centers. So last year they came in at 17 billion. Look at this. This is insane for hyperscale, up by 20 billion. That is a ton of year-over-year growth. Just like this says right here, continued strong demand for their Blackwell architecture. And then AI clouds, industrial, and enterprises last year, Q1, forward-looking fiscal year 2026, 21 billion, this time around at 37 billion. So again, incredible gross margin. The GAAP numbers here, a big increase at 74%, non-GAAP at 75%. Operating expenses in terms of billion has went up a little bit. So the operating expenses have slightly went up, but look at all the extra money that they are making. You got to spend money to make money, right? And then looking great in terms of the earnings per share, free cash flow, and capital return. Also looking positive there. Gross margin percent at 74%. Again, that is massive in terms of revenue. 85% year-over-year growth. Incredible. Operating expenses have also went up, but again, with the revenue growth, you got to spend some money to make some money. So overall, looking great. Incredible right here. Net income year-over-year, 211%, 58.3 million in terms of net income. So far what I'm seeing here with this presentation, everything looks positive to me. So, congratulations to Nvidia on beating expectations once again. Again, the company is tremendous when it comes to growth, showing results once again. And hey, it looks like we might be returning back up. So again, look at that. That is incredible. 220 acted as a major level of magnetism. Again, we dropped slightly under it all the way down to 16, but now returning back up. Let's take a look here. That's the 5-minute chart. Let's take a look here at the 1-minute chart, get some update here. So that's the move right there. Again, crushing back up through major levels of price magnetism, through this major level of put gamma. And then now we got right where the call is, right at 220. So let's see if Nvidia can remain in this range. Let's see if the second half here will be bullish. We will have that earnings call here in about 30 minutes. And then, yep, I like NVATS as a stock, but the options have helped my portfolio a lot. I like that you are an options trader, Dame, because I also love options. Last night, I just got my brain scratched with some knowledge I learned. Let me grab the book really quick This is a great book I would recommend to you if you are into trading options. I am in love with the options market. I'll tell you what, when I started to really understand options, it's like a rabbit hole that once I dove into, it's like opening Pandora's box. I can never go back. I study options all the time. I love options trading, and it's so amazing. The more I study the options market, the more I truly understand the Greeks, how everything really works, the more everything becomes, the more clear everything becomes. So last night I was reading this book. I was up till like 4 a.m. I was reading Trading Options Like the Pros. This is the little book. It's called The Little Book of Trading Options Like the Pros. Learn How to Become the House by David Burns and Michael Green. And what this was it was very profound is the knowledge that I took away from this. It's very interesting. It talked about the strategy of credit put spreads. I think it is. I might be getting the terminology wrong there, but it's basically about selling an out of the money call and then also purchasing a further out of the money call. It is. Gosh, I had my terminology earlier. A credit. It's a credit spread. A credit. Let's see. I have it here on my phone. I know the terminology. It's all learning to me here. I've been mainly sticking to calls and puts, but this is an interesting way to hedge. So this strategy, wow, let's go. Woo! This is for you, Chrysanthemum. If you're still here, I know you are. Look at this, your favorite stock. Let's go. Applied Digital. Woo! Seeing a big push up here. Celebrate good times tonight. Da, 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 da. Applied Digital at $43. Let's go. That is amazing to see. But anyway, what I was talking about here with the options, it is I'm going to get the exact terminology here for you. It's a put credit spread. That is what it is. Whoa, look at Nvidia too. Let's go. Applied Digital pumping. Chrysanthemum is happy about that. And now Nvidia is pumping as well, now at 225. Things looked a little bit scary there for a second, but it looks like it might have just been a fake out. Let's see if Nvidia can push higher. Again, my personal expected move where I see a lot of that call gamma right around 235. So that is where I am expecting for Nvidia to get. Let's see how that earnings call does come in here shortly. And then, yes, very bullish on the markets. Poet and NVTS, two companies in the same race. I think NVTS is the better play this year. Yes, I 100% love options as well. Again, it's like opening Pandora's box. Once you start to understand options, you understand the leverage, everything like that. It's truly liberating, and I'm making it my whole life purpose to study options contracts, to study the options market, and just give the information to everybody here online, everyone who wants to follow me and listen to me. I just want to give this information online and help others to understand the options market, because truly incredible the amount of returns I have made with options so many times. I love how it is leverage on top of your cash. It's basically an infusion of the two, if you really think about it. Like if we're just talking about calls or puts, because if you buy the underlying stock, you have to put up all the money for whatever shares that you buy. But when you purchase options contracts, you're basically using leverage because you're putting down a certain amount to control a larger amount of shares. So many think of leverage just as margin, where you're basically stacking, margin on top of your cash, stacking leverage on cash. But what I love with the options market, calls and puts, is you're basically combining the two, and that synthetic derivative can provide such crazy returns, especially if you are able to correctly call the direction on the stock, at least in terms of calls or puts. But what's incredible, again, with what I was just talking about, the put credit spread is, it is somewhat directional, but also kind of like bracketing the market. So super interesting. And then I'm going to have to check out that book for sure. Yes, my friend, again, I was up till 4 a.m. And what's funny is the first part of the book, like the first 30 pages of this, I didn't feel like I was in tune with it. I was like, I don't really see what they're talking about. But then they talked about a strategy, doing this strategy, the put credit spread on the SPY. And apparently with what they said, this is straight from the book. So I'm always skeptical with everything I hear. So this is still not a strategy that I have done, but I'm educating myself, and I want to start to apply this. But basically, the strategy that they talk about is using the put credit spread on the SPY. And it does say in a historical context, selling 2-week 90 to 96 SPY put spreads, which 90 to 96 is another concept. It's called moneyness. It talks about this in this book, but the spread wins. Again, this is from the book. So again, I'm always skeptical. I have yet to use this strategy. So this is not financial advice. This is just what I've heard from this book, but it wins 95% of the time without taking excessive risks and is a great representation of the core insurance company trade that we want the reader to focus on. So very interesting. And then, yes, and I'm going to order the book right now. That is awesome, Chrysanthemum. I appreciate you always wanting to hear my recommendations on books. There are so many great books. Another one I've talked about recently is a book by Michio Kaku, who is a great scientist, and he has the book about quantum. So today we're talking all about the Nvidia chips and technology and everything like that. Well, here's a tremendous book if you do want to educate yourself on quantum computing. Super interesting, because quantum really is going to change the future. That is Quantum Supremacy by Michio Kaku. And then I knew a PLD was going to do good if Nvidia did good. Oh, Applied Digital. Yeah, data center play. And Nvidia just came out with great results. And again, this is incredible. Again, just looking at levels of gamma exposure. As I always say, this is not an exact. So we use this as a tool to help ourselves. But what is incredible with looking at gamma exposure, where you do see the highest bars here, where you do see the main clusters, again, this is where a lot of activity is happening. And this can really act as major levels of price magnetism. And every single time we do these earnings reports, we draw out these levels, and then it's crazy how these can act so accurately as levels of support and resistance. So again, I'm not saying this is an exact, but so often we will see these levels be very accurate. So right now it's like we are right fighting at that level that we drew out earlier, that level where there is major gamma exposure right around that 220. So pretty incredible. And then anyone in here doing anyone in here not doing options, please learn the basics. Yes, absolutely, 100%. I agree with Dame here. For many years, I stayed away from options investing, from being intimidated by it. How I originally got exposed to options before I ever invested into them is I just saw people on Wall Street Bets talking about the options, and there's a lot of gamblers on there. I'm not saying that they're doing it wrong, but a lot of what they are using options with is low probability outcomes, and a lot of those guys will burn their portfolios. So my initial view of the options market was that, and so I hesitated. I stayed away from the options market for a long time because of that. And then one day I got back into options just on my own, and it was incredible. It was like a mind-blowing moment, and ever since that, my whole life has been changed. I've seen so many returns upwards of 100%, 200%, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10x. So I've seen incredible return on investment with trading. So I do like long-term investing. I do love to buy shares and index funds for the long term, have some safety. But for trading, my personal favorite way to trade and make big returns is with the options market. And it's insane because just by, applying yourself and really, just like Dame said here, just digging into it just a little bit and learning the basics, it's so liberating what you can learn. And it really just opens up just, the brain. Really, my whole brain opened up once I started to understand options. And every single day, I just try to dive deeper into my options knowledge. It's incredible learning about the, gamma exposure around delta. It's incredible learning how theta affects things, just all the different intricacies when it comes to these options contracts. And then good video idea for you. Break it down for the community. Yeah, Dave. Dame, I do appreciate you saying that. And yes, I do plan on doing some more educational videos. Just like I was talking about in my video yesterday, I feel that we are now in season 2 of Green Money Momentum. So I just got this brand new mic. I think it sounds a million times better. We have the beautiful background. This is all updated here. I'm creating greenmoneymomentum.com. So again, talking about artificial intelligence and Nvidia, their Blackwell chips playing a big role in our futures. You need powerful chips for the powerful artificial intelligence. Recently, I created greenmoneymomentum.com. This was all created with AI. I did some updates, but I used AI for everything. So pretty incredible what was able to be done. And with this, I just show this right here along with the brand new background and also the update that I recently made to my actual channel by changing my profile picture and then also the background here. So I'm doing a lot of updates on Green Money Momentum. I feel that this is now season 2 of the channel, and we are going to continue to progress and get better. By the way, this will be the video I show later for the capabilities of AI. This is Grand Theft Auto and the history of the United States. So for anyone who is here for the first time, we are breaking down Nvidia's earnings. But what's also really fun about these live streams is we do venture off a little bit. So we have a discussion here in the live chat, and oftentimes we will react to different videos, whether it's a video of mine from the past, whether it's a video like we'll react to later, the Grand Theft Auto history of the United States, or even a couple of weeks ago we were reacting to a killer tire from a movie called Rubber. We played Google Pac-Man recently, so we do a lot of fun things on this channel. But guys, this to me is just the very beginning days of Green Money Momentum. We are building out greenmoneymomentum.com. I will have a chat room dedicated for you guys. And then back to what Dame said here, I do plan on making more educational videos that go a lot deeper into educational concepts. Right now, I basically just do the daily talk of stock and live streams like this, where, I kind of report and update you guys on what is happening right now, but also I do want to make some great long-term content. I also feel that will really help with subscriber growth, having videos centered all around strategies and the options market, videos that can last, the sands of time. Because, for example, as fun as it is to be here for the earnings with all of you guys, if you aren't watching right now or the replay here, in a couple hours, like if you were to watch this in a couple of weeks, well, all this information, I guess it will still be useful, but not too useful compared to right now, because so many factors will be different when it comes to the stock, when it comes to the price of the stock, when it comes to the macroeconomic, news, everything like that. So much will change. But that was what is great about building something that is strategy based. It's like some videos around that. And then call up, put down, and then, people give options a bad name. I'm glad I learned them for myself. Yeah, and again, it's, I think it's just because there are a lot of gamblers with options to say, a lot of this does have to do with directional, buying. You're kind of buying, betting on a direction of the stock, at least if you're just doing simple calls and puts. And again, Wall Street Bets really does show the ugly side of options. But I do feel that if you have proper risk management, if you follow the storyline of the markets, and you do understand that it can be zero or hero, so you could expire worthless just as, possible as it is to see asymmetric return on investment. Basically have proper risk management. I do feel that anything is possible. And what I love about the options market is, again, there is trading and investing. And if I am speculating, I want to be able to make my money quick. And what I love with options, especially calls like I do, is so often when a rip does happen, those calls will rip even crazier because of the leverage. And then it's hard to not take profits when you see something rip up by 100 or 200%. And then if you have a plan, you can make gains over the long run. Absolutely all strategy based. I used Google Gemini to help me learn options. I love that, Two Wheels. I use Chat GPT all the time. I like to do some research myself by reading books or watching videos. And then if there's the concept I don't fully understand, I will definitely put that into the language learning model and help to learn it, to learn even more. That's what is so incredible about 2026 and all of the tools that we have, all of these, tools that we have, all the artificial intelligence and things to help automate processes. Really, we have the most incredible tools ever created, and it is really in us to create our own future. Hey, Norm, great to see you here. I've seen you here before, so another longtime subscriber. Thank you for joining us for the earnings today. I own a bunch of advanced micro devices bought 6 months ago. Don't get me wrong, Nvidia is awesome, but I sense AMD has even greater potential. Norm, I do agree with you. For the most part, when I do talk about this sector, I do talk about advanced micro devices. And the reason for that is because Nvidia, again, the largest company in the world in terms of market cap, with a $5 trillion market cap. They are the leader in this race of semiconductors and chips, but AMD a strong number two. They have some big deals with who we just talked about, OpenAI, and right now they have a market cap currently at $675 billion, and we have seen some crazy growth with advanced micro devices recently. So I do hold a big position in AMD. My two favorite long-term positions are Robinhood stock and advanced micro devices. We have been covering this now for quite a while, and I made my big position into AMD right back at this spot here, which is incredible because the reason why I got into it is in terms of technical analysis, it did look like we could be seeing a bullish cross, and then bam, we saw that massive gap up with that OpenAI deal. And then I was saying during this entire time when we were going sideways that the stock looked strong because during this period there was so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt around AI being a bubble. But just like we talked about with Berkshire, with Warren Buffett's famous quote about the bull market being like sex, have we reached the climax yet? I don't think we have. And so staying very bullish on AMD despite all of the fears, everyone's saying that we are in a big bubble. And then look at this, we never did fill the gap, and boom, we bounced off the 200-day MA, and now we are seeing some asymmetrical return on investment. And just like Norm is saying right here, I do feel there is still so much potential for advanced micro devices because with this sector, there is so much demand and only so much supply. Again, Nvidia being number one, but advanced micro devices a strong number two and a far way away in terms of the market cap. I definitely feel that AMD can reach up to $1 trillion market cap. Incredible, again, the sector that we are talking about, because in general, the world is going all around is centering itself all around technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, and quantum, all around these technology players. Getting a little tongue twisted there, these technology players. And this is why I mainly cover this sector of technology. So yes, I agree with you there, Norm. And then season two, my friend, yes, sir. Thank you for your support, for being here at the end of season one and here for season two. I plan on doing a lot more with this channel. Again, these are the early days of Green Money Momentum. I'm going to go out there and do some more vlogs here. So I got a lot planned for you guys in 2026, and I always have a ton of fun doing this. And then AI to learn options is sharp. Absolutely. We have the tools, so why not use them, right? Hit the like button. I agree with my friend Two Wheels here. Please and share this channel with your I really do appreciate that, Two Wheels. Yes, my goal here for Green Money Momentum, it was a trading journal for me. This is why I created it as a trading journal, but also we have this community of Green Money Momentum, and it's you guys who keep me motivated to continue to do this and to continue to elevate and to continue to learn, because I do feel that the more you learn, the more you earn, and the more of a community that we have, the more synergy we're all going to have together. sharing, and you guys help me also. I hope I help you guys as much as you guys help me, because you guys point out tickers and you will say things in the comment section or during these live streams and open me up to possibilities that I many times wouldn't be otherwise looking at, because there is so much noise going on, not just in the markets, but in my life. I really am super busy outside of this channel. So having a community with you guys really does help. Poet Technologies is a play that recently a subscriber did point out to me, and I saw some crazy gains from Poet Technology. That photonic energy sector of the market is very interesting also, because if we're talking about these computers, technology, AI, all of that, what Poet and these plays around photonic energy is set to do is to decrease the amount of consumption it takes for computing, for artificial intelligence. And if we could get a lot of this technology in the data centers, that would be incredible, using photons for the energy instead of having to use these other energy sources. You know, there's so much talk always about how much cost there is with all of these data centers with artificial intelligence. So many are worried about all of the water consumption, everything like that. I'm not saying that is not valid concerns, but what is incredible with artificial intelligence, with the data centers, with all of technology in general, is there is always a ton of upfront cost, but then ideally what happens with time is that cost does come down, not only for the producer, but for the consumer. So that is what I see happening with artificial intelligence, with all of these data centers. There are a lot of people, a lot of smart people working with these sectors, and they know that there's a lot of concern about the water consumption, everything like that. So photonics, a very interesting thought to help with the energy costs. And then risk management is huge. Too many people try to catch the top. If you got 100%, take your money. Absolutely, Dame. I would say what I always love to do with the options market with calls is, you know, if I do see an asymmetrical return on investment, which I consider to be 100% plus, I always take about half of that. That way it could then become a risk-free investment. That way I could have the chance for more asymmetrical return on investment, but I've initially taken out my risk. And then Green Money Momentum recommended reading the neatest little guide to stock market investing. I believe I have that in the back here. Yeah. This is another great book. This is actually the greatest investing book, in my opinion, in terms of a book that really opened up my mind. The greatest, the neatest little guide to stock market investing. This book is truly incredible. So yes, that is a great book. I love The Psychology of Money. Here's a good one. This talks about the concept of risk management, just like Dame was saying. A lot of people don't use any risk management, and they basically do a random walk down Wall Street where they are basically just throwing a ton of arrows at the dartboard and just hoping that something does stick. In terms of another psychology book that I would recommend, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. This is a great one right here. And then if you don't have proper risk management, well, you could end up like the fella in this book, and that is Generation Desperation: How I Made and Lost $1 Million. This guy really went through an emotional roller coaster. So yeah, absolutely, risk management is so important. And then exactly, if you can't figure out something in 2026, you're just lazy. Hey, I agree with you. You know what's crazy about language learning models and artificial intelligence is you could type things like a buffoon. There are times when I type in something like a buffoon on ChatGPT. It has tons of typos. It doesn't even make sense. It's not even really legible. And then all of a sudden, ChatGPT knows exactly what I said, and it gives me an incredible response. So yes, the power is in our hands. We live in the greatest time ever, at least in my opinion, because of all the tools that we do have. I mean, if you just think about somebody from 50 years ago, you know, they didn't have a phone in their hand where they could trade all of these options, trade stocks, you know, be in cryptocurrencies, have all of these different financial instruments. You know, like you think back in the day, in the early days of, you know, even like the 1920s, the 1930s, you know, when the stock market in the US was, you know, really popular before we went into the Great Depression, everything like that. Even with all that hypermania, it's not like people were just trading on their phones. And really, it's so liberating what we have in today's time, because also just talking about, just all of this, what we're looking at. I mean, how incredible is it that we are literally looking at live price action right now? We just saw the earnings report, so we got to actually see what just came out from Nvidia in real time, react to the price action here in real time. We could zoom out, look at all of this data. We could do so much research. We could look at the market cap. We could read this company's 10K. There is so much that we could do. We have so much tools. We have so much information at our fingertips, and really it's up to the individual to use all of this information in our favor. But many do ignore it, and that's where, like you're saying right here, you are just lazy if you don't take the opportunity to use these tools to our benefit. Because if you really look at human history, the point that we are at right now can be considered as like the pinnacle of human evolution. Like, the tools and power that we have is so insane. The amount of knowledge that we have in just this, and you could be so lazy, you don't even have to type it in. You could just talk to your phone and it will talk back to you. So it's never been easier to get so much information. There's a vast amount of information on the internet. I love the internet also. I just got to say again, incredible what we have here. Not only looking at the price action, not only being able to look at this company's earnings in real time. We'll be here in the earnings call here in 10 minutes, but for also all 11 of us, I guess I should say 12, with me being the 12th here. It's insane what we have here. Like, we take it for granted, but really we have all of us connecting here in real time. So insane, and then sneaking this live chat in while on a conference call. Let's go, the shop. Great to see you here. The shop, this guy is like a language learning model himself, super intelligent. So if you want to ask any questions in the live chat, just ask the shop. He was coming out with some great statistics in the last live chat that we had. So the shop, great to see you here once again, my friend. And then quantum is going to kill these data centers, is what Stephanie Diaz does say. I think quantum will help to work alongside the data centers. What's truly incredible about quantum, we're talking about compression. That's what an Nvidia chip is, compressing so much into one little chip. That is what quantum computing is, supposed to take tons of data and really complex values, numbers, all of that, and compress it and be able to take the amount of time it takes for something and compress it really quick. Stephanie, great to see you here. Welcome to the live. Smash that like button till it breaks. Ba, 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 ba. Smash it. And then, hi, Stephanie. I'm writing a book called Retard Maxing with Trading. That is funny, Stephanie. And then Super Bowl of earnings today. Yeah, the largest company in the world in terms of market cap. We are going to officially get the earnings here in well, we've already gotten the earnings. We're officially going to be here in the second half of the football game for the Super Bowl, and that is going to be the official live call. So I've already signed up here. We got some lobby music. Would you like to listen to the music while you wait for the broadcast to begin? Now we won't, because usually that does just mess up my audio. By the way, how do you guys like the new microphone? Does it sound any better to you? My old microphone sometimes would be a little like glitchy, I feel. So that's just another part of this channel. Again, I'm looking to grow it, and so really looking to improve the presentation on this channel. Look at that. We're still getting a lot of volatility. And again, in the major levels of gamma that we pointed out. So look at that. Like, expected move. We dropped right down to the major level of put gamma there for just a second, returned right back to the norm where the biggest cluster is here, right at 220. And if we do get a positive earnings call here, we could potentially break up to 230. We'll just have to see. And again, this is a situation where the tide can rise all the boats in the water, because Nvidia, the largest company in the world, again, I think it's ridiculous that people even consider this to be a bubble. When you do look at these quarterly earnings from these companies such as Nvidia and other massive Mag 7 players, again, they are crushing quarter after quarter, and there is so much incentive for artificial intelligence. Again, artificial intelligence going to make the shareholders very happy because it brings down costs for the company. And so I do believe that it is just a smokescreen when people talk about this big AI bubble that we are in. Really, I do believe that we are just at the beginning of of what is going to be, the next industrial revolution to say. By the way, we got the call here in about 5 minutes. So I'm just curious, you guys in the live chat, let me know, are you bullish or bearish on what we saw from Nvidia today? Again, the earnings actually, at least here on the investor presentation, came out very positive. A lot of year-over-year growth, beating Wall Street's expectations once again. And Jensen Huang is very bullish for the markets. Also, if you guys didn't know, this is just an interesting statistic here. This is just an interesting fact here. Did you guys know that Jensen Huang is related to the CEO of Nvidia? So this is crazy right here. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang and AMD CEO Lisa Su are first cousins. Prior to founding Nvidia, Huang worked as a microprocessor designer at Advanced Micro Devices. So the two big wigs right here. I love this right here. Yet another proof of us living in a simulation, right? That is crazy right there. And again, living in simulations, we will watch the simulation of Grand Theft Auto and the history of the United States here after we get through the earnings call. So that will be our commercial break later today. But this is these videos are always fun. And again, artificial intelligence is incredible because not only can it help us to educate ourselves, not only are the language learning models amazing when it comes to picking up information, we have artificial intelligence art, so AI art, which is incredible. I know some digital artists hate on AI art, saying why not just hire a digital artist? This is AI slop. But for me, who owns a business outside of this channel, I've used AI art a ton for my business. What I love about it is it generates amazing photos that you really can't tell the difference between whether it's AI art or a digital artist who created it. And what's great is with that art, if it doesn't come in how I like, well, I could just type in on the prompt and say, hey, do this to it, and then it will fix it. And then it could become a perfect photo in the matter of minutes, being able to do it with just a few improvements instead of constant trial and error and communication with a digital artist and what could take weeks to get everything done and a ton of money. Instead, I could do it all on artificial intelligence for free. So we have the language learning models, we have AI art, and also AI may be changing video games altogether soon. So this is just an AI video. But if you guys have seen Google's AI video game, it's pretty incredible. So let's take a look here. I forget exactly what it's called. Let's look. Google Video Game Simulator. It has a name to it. What is it? But it's pretty incredible. I mean, what can be done? So Google, let's see. Let's just type in Google video game. I think it was going to actually show it for me here. Oh yeah, Google AI Veo 3 is what? Well, that's its video creator. But there was one. It was like called the Genie or something. Let me type it in. Google video game AI generator. What is it? What is that called? Genie. Yes. If you guys have seen Genie, again, this is incredible. Genie right here. So let's see, a little bit of lag here. I'm getting a phone call. That's why it's lagging here. But we are about 2 minutes away from the earnings call here. Let's go Google Gemini. Oh, not Gemini. Gosh, guys, I just looked it up. What was it? It was Google Genie. That's what it is. Gemini, Genie. And we are very close to the earnings call. Sometimes these guys come on a little bit late, so it is expected to be at 2. Maybe they'll be a little bit behind. Man, my computer's loading a little bit slow here. I hope you guys aren't getting lag on your side. Bull. Love the options talk today. Wish I could chime in more, but stuck listening to a call. Well, the shop, thank you again for being here. I really do appreciate your support. And again, I love the intelligent conversations that you do provide to this channel, not just to the shop, but to all of you. I really do appreciate when you guys have an input. Even if I say something on camera and you feel that what I'm saying is wrong, I appreciate your input. I appreciate you if you go the opposite way of the grain, opposite of what I'm saying, or if you do agree with me. I just love investor conversation altogether. This is why we will definitely be opening a chat room for this channel here very soon. But I love all type of investor conversation. Again, this is a passion of mine. And look at that. Incredible. Again, this is yet another earnings call where we do see the most major level of call gamma acting as the major level of support and resistance, really as major price magnetism. And then bull again, I always like to hear your take. Me as well. Live stream. Let's go, Trevor CW, another longtime subscriber of this channel, my friend. Thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate your support in terms of this community that we have. CW, you do help to motivate me to continue to do this. I know you've been following me for quite some time. I believe that you caught a lot of that original quantum rise with me back in 2025. So yeah, thank you. And yeah, we do live streams very often now. We go live every single Sunday, just 30 minutes before the overnight session. Let me get you guys the audio.
Your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press star one again. Thank you. Toshiya Hari, you may begin your conference.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the first quarter of fiscal 2027. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang, President and Chief Executive Officer, and Colette Kress, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations website. The webcast will be available for replay until the conference call to discuss our financial results for the second quarter of fiscal 2027. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It can't be reproduced or transcribed without our prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of significant risks and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For a discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release, our most recent Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and the reports that we may file on Form 8-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission. All our statements are made as of today, May 20th, 2026, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures. You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thank you, Toshiya. We delivered an exceptional quarter with revenue, operating income, and free cash flow exceeding our prior records. Total revenue of $82 billion was up 85% year over year and 20% sequentially. This marked our third consecutive quarter of year over year acceleration and the 14th straight quarter of sequential growth. A significant feat given the sheer size and complexity of our manufacturing operations. The $13.5 billion sequential revenue increase was also a record. We capitalized on the inflection in inference demand by ramping Blackwell systems across our diverse end customer base, from hyperscalers to model makers to AI cloud providers and sovereign customers. In Q1, we also allocated capital effectively across R&D, investments in our ecosystem, and share repurchases. We returned a record $20 billion to our shareholders while executing strategic investments, both upstream supply chain and downstream go-to-market ecosystem. This is critical to the market's development and our long-term position. Data center revenue of $75 billion was up 92% year over year and 21% sequentially, driven by sustained strength in our Blackwell architecture. And demand for GB300 and NVL72 was particularly strong, with frontier model builders and hyperscalers each having cumulatively deployed hundreds and thousands of Blackwell GPUs, marking the fastest product ramp in our company's history. Grace Blackwell is the fastest training system as well as the lowest token generation cost at inference. Spectrum X, our end-to-end Ethernet platform purpose-built for AI, is now larger than all Ethernet network peers combined. InfiniBand has also had a very strong quarter, growing more than 4x year over year, driven by deployments of our next generation XDR technology. For your models, data center computing revenue of $60 billion was up 77% year over year, while data center networking revenue of $15 billion nearly tripled year over year. Before we deep dive into data center, we'd like to brief you on our transition to a new reporting framework that better reflects our current and future growth drivers. We have two market platforms, data center and edge computing. Within data center, we will report two submarkets, hyperscale and ACIE, which incorporates AI clouds, industrial, and enterprise. Hyperscale will include revenue from the public cloud and the world's largest consumer internet companies, while ACIE addresses our growth opportunities in diverse AI purpose-built data centers and AI factories across industries and countries. Edge computing highlights devices for agentic and physical AI, including PCs, gaming consoles, workstations, AI RAN base stations, robotics, and automotive. For your reference, we have posted on our website a revenue breakdown based on our new platforms for the past 9 quarters. Moving back to our data center results. Hyperscale revenue of $38 billion was approximately 50% of data center revenue and increased 12% quarter over quarter. ACIE revenue was $37 billion and grew 31% quarter over quarter, including AI cloud revenue that more than tripled year over year. Our customers have enabled rapid stand-up of AI compute capacity. The number of partner data centers exceeding 10 megawatts has nearly doubled in just 1 year, now surpassing 80 sites. Sovereign revenue increased more than 80% year over year. Nvidia AI infrastructure is now deployed across nearly 40 countries, representing 50 trillion in GDP. As evident to our Q1 results, our customer base is diverse and growing, supported by our vast ecosystem and installed base, breadth of CUDA accelerated application, and the lowest token cost provider. We are well positioned to address a market opportunity that far exceeds that of any other AI computing platform. Demand for AI infrastructure continues to expand at an unprecedented pace. The build-out of AI factories is accelerating. The value of Nvidia AI infrastructure is rising. The price of renting an H100 has risen 20% year to date, while A100 cloud pricing is up nearly 15%. Benefiting from the versatility of our platform and continuous performance enhancements enhanced by our software stack, customers are generating profitable revenue beyond the depreciable life of their GPUs. The vast and trusted marketplace for NVIDIA compute is a critical foundation on which billions in AI infrastructure spending is being financed by the ecosystem. There are two primary drivers behind the accelerating build-out of AI infrastructure. First, from search and advertising to recommender systems and content understanding. The largest hyperscale workloads continue to transition from CPU to GPU-based accelerating computing. Second, the adoption of products and services native to AI is inflecting. Since the advent of ChatGPT, we have witnessed mainstream AI transition from one-shot inference to reasoning and to now agentic. AI is no longer a nice to have. AI is now a necessity for enhancing productivity across all industries and roles. This is propelling revenue acceleration across all layers of the AI cake, including energy, chips, infrastructure, models, and applications. Growth in the model layer, particularly at Anthropic and OpenAI, has been incredible, with momentum continuing to accelerate, including breakout growth in OpenAI's Codex since the launch of GPT 5.5. With analysts now forecasting hyperscale CapEx to exceed $1 trillion in 2027, and agentic AI beginning to proliferate all industries, AI infrastructure spending is on track to reach $3 to $4 trillion annually by the end of this decade. Our Blackwell architecture is everywhere, adopted and deployed by every major hyperscaler, every cloud provider, and every major model maker. Last month, we celebrated OpenAI's launch of GPT 5.5, co-designed for, trained with, and served on Blackwell, currently positioned at the top of artificial analysis leaderboards. Microsoft's Fairwater, the world's most powerful AI data center, is now live, ahead of schedule, powered by hundreds of thousands of Blackwell GPUs. Starting this year, AWS will add more than 1 million Blackwell and Rubin GPUs and are collaborating on Spectrum networking. At Google, Blackwell will be offered to customers in the cloud, including confidential computing capability, a new foundation for secure, high-performance AI. Our share of frontier AI compute is increasing. We have deepened our collaboration with Anthropic and are delighted to be a strategic partner to expand their compute capacity. We will support the company's growth trajectory through AWS, Azure, CoreWeave, SpaceX AI, and more. Now, with the addition of Anthropic to OpenAI, Gemini, SpaceX XAI, Meta, MSL, Microsoft AI, TML, Reflection, Perplexity, Cursor, and other major frontier labs already building on Nvidia. Our share of frontier A models will grow significantly. Today's data centers are revenue-generating AI factories. Constrained by power and capital, AI factory operators must choose the right architecture. With our extreme co-design approach, we deliver the industry's lowest token cost, the highest token throughput, and the highest ROI. MLPerf inference results are in, and once again, we swept every benchmark, as Blackwell Ultra delivered the highest throughput across the broad set of models and deployment scenarios. Full stack innovations drove the 2.7x increase in throughput and a 60% reduction in the cost per token on GB300 compared to just 6 months ago. NVIDIA Compute is not just the highest performance AI infrastructure, it is the most economic and financeable. Customers do not buy GPUs, they build AI factories. And the right economic metric is not the purchase price of the GPU, it is the lifetime cost of an AI factory producing intelligence, token per watt, tokens per dollar, uptime, utilization, time to production, software durability, and asset life. NVIDIA excels at all of them. Agentic AI and reinforcement learning represents new growth opportunities for CPUs. Building on the success of our Grace CPU, Vera is arriving just in time to meet this inflection. Built on custom ARM cores and co-designed end-to-end with Rubin GPUs and NVLink, Vera will deliver up to 1.5x faster performance per core, 2x performance per watt, and 4x density per rack compared to x86-based alternatives. Vera CPU opens a brand new $200 billion TAM for NVIDIA, a market we have never addressed before. And every major hyperscale and system maker is partnering with us to get it deployed. We have visibility to nearly $20 billion in total CPU revenue this year, setting us up to become the world-leading CPU supplier. Our annual product cadence, a pace that is unmatched, remains a key pillar supporting our market position. We are on track to commence production shipments of Vera Rubin in the second half of this year, starting in Q3. By integrating 7 purpose-built chips across 5 accelerated racks, Vera Rubin will deliver up to 35x higher inference throughput and up to 10x greater AI factory revenue compared with Blackwell. As an early adopter, Google's A5X bare metal instances, which can support up to 960,000 Rubin GPUs across multiple sites, can enable customers to run their largest AI workloads on Nvidia's optimized infrastructure. While the US government has approved licenses for H200 to be shipped to China-based customers, we have yet to generate any revenue, and we are uncertain whether any imports will be allowed into the country. As a result, consistent with last quarter, we are not including any China data center compute revenue in our outlook. Let me move to edge computing. Our edge computing market platform generated $6.4 billion, up 10% quarter over quarter and 29% year over year. Robust Blackwell workstation demand was a strong contributor to the growth, while consumer demand fell modestly due to higher memory and system prices. Our physical AI continues to gain momentum, exceeding $9 billion in revenue over the last 12 months. Our partnership with Uber will power the robotaxi fleet across nearly 30 cities and 4 continents by 2028. And in robotics, leading companies across a range of industrial, surgical, and humanoid applications are building on Nvidia's technology to develop and deploy at scale. We remain front-footed in securing sufficient supply to support our customers' growth. In Q1, we increased total supply, inclusive of inventory, purchase commitments, and prepaids to $145 billion. While we are not immune to supply challenges, we remain confident in our ability to support the growth opportunity ahead. With our intense focus, scale, and longstanding partnerships with critical suppliers continuing to serve us well. Let me move to the rest of the P&L. GAAP gross margin was 74.9%, and non-GAAP gross margins was 75%, largely flat sequentially by Blackwell systems continued to account for most of our shipments. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses were up 12% sequentially, primarily due to higher compensation and an increase in compute and infrastructure costs. Our non-GAAP effective tax rate of 16% came just below our prior outlook due to favorable geographic mix. And on our balance sheet, days sales outstanding was 45 days due to favorable timing of collections. We expect to return to the mid-50s in Q2. We generated record free cash flow, $49 billion, up from $35 billion in Q4. I'd now like to update you on our capital allocation plan. First, to reiterate, our intention is to prioritize R&D and strategic investment. Both will enable us to cultivate our ecosystem, drive market growth, and strengthen our market position. As a key enabler of AI, we will make investments necessary to deliver the industry's lowest cost per token and the highest token throughput, which will help our customers and partners scale and expand the AI frontier. Return program is another key component of our capital allocation strategy. Given confidence in our long-term free cash flow outlook and our commitment to sharing our success with shareholders, we are increasing our quarterly dividend from 1 cent to 20 cents per share. We plan to review our dividend on a regular basis as we continue to scale our business. We are also announcing an $80 billion share repurchase authorization, which is in addition to the $39 billion remaining on our current plan. As we indicated at GTC, we plan to return roughly 50% of free cash flow to shareholders this year. Let me turn to the outlook for the second quarter. Total revenue is expected to be $91 billion, plus or minus 2%. We expect sequential growth to be driven primarily by data center. We are continuing to work vigorously on our supply chain ecosystem to address the incredible demand we see ahead of us, giving us full confidence in the $1 trillion in Blackwell and Rubin revenue we foresee from 2025 through calendar 2027. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 74.9% and 75% respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. For the full year, we are still expecting to be in the mid-70s. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $8.5 billion and $8.3 billion, respectively. For the full year, we now expect OpEx growth to grow somewhere in the upper 40s on a year-over-year basis, driven by higher R&D and acceleration in the usage of AI tools to enhance productivity. For the full year 2027, we expect GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates to be between 16% and 18%, excluding any discrete items from material changes to our tax environment. This is lower than our prior expectation of 17 to 19 due to changes in geographic mix. That puts me at the end of this part, and I'm going to now turn this over to the Q&A with Toshiya.
Thanks, Colette. We will now transition to Q&A. Operator, please pull for questions.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. As a reminder, please limit yourself to 1 question. Thank you. Your first question comes from Joseph Moore with Morgan Stanley. Your line is open.
Great. Thank you for letting me ask a question. I guess I'd like to ask, what drove the change in segmentation? What's the philosophy behind giving us the numbers that way? And then can you talk about any competitive differences between the 2 segments and this kind of surprising CPU number that you talked about? How do you see that across the 2 segments as well? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. First of all, Colette meant to say we're increasing our quarterly dividends from 1 cent to 25 cents. I think that extra 5 cents would mean a lot to the large shareholders. So anyhow, let's see, Joe, on the segmentation and the description of the business, we wanted you to understand our business better. AI is very diverse, and computing is diverse. They're diverse in several ways. The first thing, of course, is AI includes languages, and depending on the different industries, it could be 3D graphics for manufacturing and industrial robotics. It could be proteins for life sciences. It could be small chemicals for life sciences or material sciences. It could be physics for the physical sciences, whether it's in the energy sector or, of course, the science labs, higher education, so on and so forth. So AI is diverse. The second thing is the applications are diverse. It could be in enterprise. It could be in the energy sector, manufacturing sector, and such. Where it runs is diverse. It could be in the hyperscale cloud. It could be AI natives. These a whole network of AI natives that are cropping up around the world. Enterprises on-prem, industrial in the factories, in the plants, all the way to supercomputing centers and the edge. Edge including, of course, what most people see, self-driving cars, robotics, but a large growing network of computers inside manufacturing plants, whether it's a chip plant or packaging or computer plants, all kinds of different types of manufacturing plants. And then, of course, in the future, every single base station, every single radio network would become an AI-powered radio network. And so where it runs. And then lastly, how it's governed. It could be operated by a public cloud, but it could also have regular industrial regulatory reasons that prevents it from being run in a regulatory cloud. It could be because of confidential computing. It could be because of national security reasons. Different data centers have to be built differently. Nvidia is quite unique in the sense that we are the only company that builds all of the technology components. We build it in an extreme co-design way in a complete end-to-end way and a full stack way. But then we, of course, open the platform so that it could be integrated into all the different environments. But some environments just require, an enterprise, for example, require a company who has all of the technologies working together so that they don't have to build it. They would like to buy it and operate it. And so there's many different segments of the data center market where NVIDIA's total solution, fully integrated solution with full stack, but still open, that way of producing or delivering products is really, really important. And so if you look at our different segments, the way we broke it out into 3 large segments, you take all of the words that I just said, and you try to find the simplest factoring of it. It would be the hyperscale clouds. That would be one large segment. And within that segment, there's 3 different ways that we operate. First way is that we help the hyperscale clouds accelerate their data processing and machine learning workloads. We accelerate and support their AI processing inside. We also, of course, bring a lot of business, NVIDIA ecosystem business, to their public clouds. And so that's one segment. The second segment is AI natives, enterprise on-prems, industrial on-prems, and sovereign AI. That segment is growing incredibly fast because everybody needs AI, and we're going to see AI being adopted by every industry, every country, every company. And so everybody wants to build it in a different way. And the fact that we provide the entire solution, it makes it much easier, makes it possible at all for people to be able to build these things. And then, of course, the robotic edge. Yesterday's computing was largely about personal computing. In the future, it's going to be about personal AI. And that personal AI, one example of it is the self-driving car. It's a robotic system that's essentially your personal AI. And of course, there'll be all kinds of different types of robotic systems, including even the base station radio network, as I mentioned, is going to be essentially a robotic system. So that's the reason why we broke it all apart this way. It's the simplest way of understanding our business. Each one of them have different stacks in a lot of ways. They have different operating systems. They operate in a different way. We go to market very differently in each one of them. The easiest go to market, of course, is the hyperscaler because there are only 5 or 6 of them. But the rest of them, the rest of the industry represents a couple of 250,000 companies around the world. That go to market is very complex, very diverse. Your understanding of AI has to be extremely diverse. And as you know, NVIDIA has the largest suite of acceleration libraries in the world, from computational lithography to fluid dynamics to particle physics to molecular dynamics, to the list goes on. And all of those libraries are essential for us to engage the vertical industries that represents the second and the third category. Okay, so anyways, it's really about the fact that our business has now evolved and grown to such a large scale. It's helpful to segment it so that you have a better understanding of how our business works.
Your next question comes from Ben Reitzes with Melius Research. Your line is open.
Hey guys, thanks so much. I wanted to ask Jensen, I want to ask you about your philosophy on growth. Your data center business, ex-China, grew about 120% in the quarter, and then you're guiding about 100. CapEx at the hyperscalers is forecast by many, including myself, to grow 90 to 100% this year. And you talked about data center, still on track to be 3 to 4 trillion by the end of the decade. I was just wondering, is the goal for the company to grow faster than hyperscaler CapEx? Are you comfortable in kind of endorsing that view? And do you still see hyperscaler CapEx kind of still growing after this year at a very rapid clip? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. So first of all, we should be growing faster than hyperscale CapEx. And the reason for that is illustrated by the segmentation that I just described. Our data center business has 2 large parts. It has more parts than that, but we combined it into 2 large parts for simplicity's sake. It's much more complex than the 2 large parts. but I combined it into two so that it's at least easier to understand. Okay, and so if you look at the first part is hyperscalers. That's the hyperscale capex that you were just talking about, and there are $1 trillion this year. I have every expectation it's going to grow from here for fundamentally good reasons. This is the way computing is going to work in the future. And if they don't have the compute, they won't have the revenues. It is very clear. Compute is revenues. Compute is profit. And so the world is changing. Software didn't used to use SaaS, it didn't used to use as much compute, but AI requires a tremendous amount of compute. But you could do, of course, incredibly more, which is the reason why we heard about the AI frontier AI companies, both Anthropic and OpenAI, growing at an incredible pace. The fact that they can grow within 1 month, what some of the SaaS companies would have taken a decade to grow, tells you something. And so the first category is hyperscale, and the capex is at $1 trillion, and it's growing towards the 3 to 4. The second category is all of the AI native clouds. They're regional. They're all over the place. There are startups all over the world supporting those companies. They're enterprise, 250,000 enterprise companies around the world. Many of them will have to build or want to build AI factories for themselves to operate. Many industrial companies, there's no choice but to put the computer where the context is, where the action is. You can't put that in the cloud. It has to respond reliably, quickly, every single time. Can't imagine, a chip plant, a chip fab being connected to a cloud service provider. Doesn't make any sense. And so the second category, and then sovereign AI clouds. And so there's a whole category of data centers that semi-custom chips just don't apply, because these data centers want to buy systems, they want to operate systems, they don't want to design, they don't want to build it themselves. And so the second category is extremely diverse. Instead of 5 or 6, 7 companies representing the revenues associated with our first category, the second category is hundreds, thousands of companies, and in the future it'll be hundreds of thousands of companies with a large number of companies with smaller installations. And that category is going to continue to grow at incredible pace. This second category, when I talk about physical AI and I talk about how the rest of the $100 trillion industry that has not been impacted by IT in the last 30 years, it's about to be impacted by AI. That is the segment that I'm talking about. The second cluster is growing incredibly fast. Our share of that, of course, is very, very large. We're fairly unique in our ability to be able to serve this industry. Our platform is built like it's vertically integrated so that everything works. But then we disassemble it so that people can build and buy it in the configuration they want and assemble it the way they like. And so this second category is fairly poorly understood because there are just so many small companies or so many companies, and each one of the installations are relatively small compared to, of course, one of the hyperscalers. And so if you look at the segmentation and the size of each, you could see that, in fact, we're growing share in the hyperscalers because we now have much bigger support from Anthropic, a new partner of ours, and we're helping them expand their capacity greatly in the coming years. And then the second, very few companies have exposure into the second category because of the platform solution that we have.
Your next question comes from CJ Muse with Cantor Fitzgerald. Your line is open.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the question. You have Vera Rubin coming soon, and you obviously have great insight into coming updates to frontier models. new techniques to optimize around diverse AI workloads. With investors keenly focused on your market share and inference, how do you see Vera Rubin and your extreme co-engineering impacting your share of the inference market, as we look into late 26, 27?
Well, we are growing share in inference, and we're growing share in inference very, very quickly. And the reason for that is this year, the number of frontier model companies grew. And so there's Cursor and Perplexity, and there's some new model companies, TML and Reflection, and the list goes on. And so the number of frontier model companies has grown. And we added Anthropic to our partnership this year. They're expanding incredibly fast. We've partnered with them to secure computing capacity across Azure, AWS, CoreWeave. I forget who else we've already announced, but there's a whole list of others that we are bringing online for them. And so the amount of capacity that we're going to bring online for Anthropic this year and next year is going to be quite significant, very significant. And so we're growing, and our coverage of Anthropic has been largely zero until just recently. And so we're gaining share tremendously fast in inference. Vera Rubin is going to be even more successful than Grace Blackwell at this point. Every single, I can't think of one, every single frontier model company will jump on Vera Rubin from the get-go. And that wasn't true before on Blackwell. And so Vera Rubin is off to a tremendous start, and it'll surely be more successful than even Grace Blackwell. So I think the end of your answer, CJ, is that we're gaining share in inference. Let me go back again to the question that Ben was asking. Remember, so far, everything that I've just explained in the inference question is really focused on hyperscale. Remember, there's a whole second category of AI data centers that we serve almost uniquely. This segment is very fragmented, requires a really well integrated platform solution, and a very large go-to-market. And that segment, all of the inference, 100% of that, the vast majority of that, is Nvidia. And then, of course, physical AI. Nvidia is practically the only company serving physical AI today, and we've been working on physical AI for a long time. And so that is also growing. So our share of inference is growing very quickly.
Your next question comes from Timothy Arcuri with UBS. Your line is open.
Thanks a lot. Jensen, I wanted to ask about the traction you're getting with some of these custom merchant things you're doing, stuff like CPX and LPX. And I just wanted to ask and see sort of, you've talked before about fast instance being, I think, 20% of the market. So I would imagine you're getting pretty good traction with LPX. So can you just talk about that, and maybe also how that fits into your broader platform strategy? Thanks.
The LPX is designed for low latency and high token rate, but its throughput is low. Its model size capacity is low, and its context processing, its ability to absorb a lot of context, for example, for software coding, for agentic workloads, its ability to absorb a great deal of context is lower. And so the challenge is simply, and I've explained before that the use case for LPX is not broad. It's intended for somebody who has a fairly large portfolio of different types of token services, and for the high token rate, maybe these services are quite premium, and the number of customers is not significant, but the token rate is very high. And so that remains exactly consistent with what I've said before, and I still expect that. And so I I expect that LPX and other SRAM-based decode focused token, high token rate generated focused accelerators will be a niche product for some time to come. As you know, Grace Blackwell and Vera Rubin, we support the entire life cycle of AI, from the data processing, preparing for training, data processing, to pre-training, to post-training, reinforcement learning, all the way to inference. Grace Blackwell is the best platform in the world to do all of that. And if in certain circumstances, so long as the provider already has a high token rate service that they can offer, then we can tack on an LPX and they could deliver that service even better. And so that's how I see the market. And I think whether it's 20% or 10% just depends on where we are in the development of AI. I think today it's a lot less than 20%. Someday these premium tokens could be 20%, and I'm we're ready to work with service providers to enable this capability. I'm excited about it.
Your next question comes from Vivek Arya with Bank of America Securities. Your line is open.
Thanks for taking my question. Jensen, there's a lot of excitement around CPU for agentic applications and just a lot of noise around the number of CPUs actually exceeding the number of GPUs. And I was just hoping that you could kind of, give your perspective that, first of all, is this an incremental workload? Is this kind of cannibalizing what the GPU would have done otherwise? And then secondly, the 20 billion number that you gave, is that for standalone Vera CPUs, or is that kind of already included in that Vera as part of Vera Rubin? So just if you could educate us on the role of CPU versus GPU. Is it cannibalistic? Is it incremental? And then the 20 billion number, how to kind of put that in context with what you sell, right? Which is usually the CPU as part of the GPU. Thank you.
The 20 billion is for a standalone CPU, and remember, we have Vera is used in 3 ways as a standalone CPU, 4 ways. Let me just start with the one that you already know. The first way is Vera Rubin, and we'll sell millions of Rubins, and every 2 of them is connected to a Vera. And of course, we price those too, and they're properly priced. And so that's number 1 use case. The second use case is Vera standalone CPU. The third is Vera with CX9 and the software stack for storage. And then Vera with CX9 with a software stack for security and compute isolation and confidential computing. Okay, so each one of those use cases is built on Vera, and my sense is that we'll be supply constrained throughout the entire life of Vera Rubin. There are 4 different use cases of it, and but anyhow, the answer to your question is of the 20 billion is a standalone. With respect to CPU use, an agent is essentially what people call a harness. The agent has a harness that does and the harness could be OpenClaw, it could be Hermes. Claude Code is essentially a harness around Claude, around the Opus model. OpenAI's Codex is a harness around the GPT 5.5 model. And so these are harnesses, and these harnesses provide for things like I/O, orchestration, memory management, tool use connected to tools, for example, browsers and things like that, C compilers, Python compilers. And so the harness runs on CPU, and the tool use runs on CPUs. So for example, if the AI were to do a search or do a browser, use a browser, that would run on a CPU. The world has a billion users, human users. My sense is that the world is going to have billions of agents. Not today. I mean, we're going to grow into it, but it will have billions of agents, and those billions of agents will all use tools, and those tools are going to be like, like PCs, just like us humans using PCs today. In the future, you'll have an agent using PC, and so if you kind of think along the lines of in the future, you pick your favorite number of agents at the moment. At the moment, call it a few 100,000, but in the future, call it, eventually a few billion. I could imagine them all using effectively having PCs that they can all use. And but the large language, every one of those agents are going to spin off sub agents, and every time they spin these off, you're going to need to do inference. That's where the thinking happens. All of the thinking happens on GPUs. All of the orchestration essentially runs on CPUs, and the sub agents, when they're spun off, when they're thinking, they use GPUs. Whenever the agents use simulators, those can run on CPUs or GPUs, which is the reason why we're working so closely with Cadence and Synopsys, and to accelerate all of the world's tools. We're accelerating all of the world's tools and data processing engines and database engines because agents use these tools and have, they have lower patience tolerance than humans, and they want things to happen quickly. And so we're accelerating all of the world's tools so that it runs on CUDA. And you could see us doing that, when I work with Cadence and Synopsys and Siemens and companies and Adobe, and that's because we're trying to get all of the world's tools to run on GPUs, because they already have GPUs and it's a lot faster. So we're going to need a lot more CPUs, and Vera was designed to be an agentic CPU. The CPUs of the past were designed to have many cores so that it could be easily rentable. People rented cores. Well, agents don't rent cores. They just want the work to be done fast. The economics of the past was dollars per core. That's the economics of cloud computing of the past. The economics of AI of the future is tokens per dollar, or dollars per token. And so what we need to do in the future is to generate tokens, process tokens as fast as possible. And that's what Vera does incredibly well. So we're expecting to be very successful with Vera, but ultimately what we're doing is we're building infrastructure for AI, and it needs incredibly great storage. That's the reason why we built STX. It needs incredibly good networking. That's why we have Spectrum-X. It needs incredibly great GPUs, of course, and inferencing ability. That's the reason why NVLink 72. It needs incredibly great security and confidential computing, which is the reason why Vera Rubin's the world's first platform with end-to-end confidential computing. And it needs, great CPUs. We've got it all covered.
Your next question comes from Stacy Rasgon with Bernstein Research. Your line is open.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my question. I wanted to go back to the segmentation. So first of all, I'm just curious, where do you put the neoclouds across those two segments? Are they in hyperscale, or are they in the AI cloud? Part of me assumes the latter, but I'm not so sure. And then, but just look at the magnitude of them. I mean, they're both about the same magnitude now. It almost sounded to me like you were suggesting that you thought the latter, the AI cloud, would grow faster, maybe going forward, than hyperscale. Is that what you're trying to say, or do you just see like the same kind of growth coming from both segments?
First of all, you're correct that AI native clouds don't build chips, don't design their own chips, and they don't want to. They can't really assemble, unrelated parts together into an AI factory. And their patience, their tolerance for time to first token is extremely low. And their need for an architecture that has a great deal of offtake so that it runs every model, has customers from everywhere, is incredibly high. And so that's the reason why NVIDIA's architecture is so perfect for them. We offer every component, and whatever we don't offer, our ecosystem of partners offer it, and it's all fully integrated. It all works together. The number of customers that could rent it from an AI native is incredibly high. Basically, every single AI builder, every AI native startup around the world, SaaS companies, enterprise companies, industrial companies, and so our computing, our architecture is the most rentable of any computing platform in the world. So it's the most performant. It's the easiest to put together. It's the most rentable, has the best TCO, and it's the easiest to finance. And so all of those properties are quite unique to the needs of AI natives. It's in the second category. They're very similar to even OEMs and so on and so forth, large enterprises and so forth, surprisingly. Okay, so we put that in the second category. If you look at that segment, it started growing after the AI ecosystem developed in the hyperscale. Hyperscale developed AI first for a lot of reasons. They have great computer science, they have excellent data center capability, and they also focus largely on consumer applications, which, if not perfect, is not the end of the world. It enhances the service so long as it enhances the service. And so for many of the other applications, industrial applications, enterprise applications, until the AI is very capable and does really productive work and does it safely, and it could do it in a way that can actually generate impact and income, it doesn't really get used. And so you expect the second category to develop slower than hyperscale, and you could see that in the numbers. However, long term, if you look at industrial and enterprise, clearly that's where future economics is going to be, because it represents some 50-80 trillion dollars of the world's economy, and so and it's going to be larger than that because of AI. And so I expect the second category to be larger over time, both in the near term, over the next several years. I think it's a foregone conclusion. Both are going to grow incredibly fast. I expect the second category to still grow faster, but both are going to grow incredibly fast. And then I'm hoping that within the next 5 years, physical AI and robotics segment is going to grow incredibly fast.
Your next question comes from Jim Schneider with Goldman Sachs. Your line is open.
Good afternoon, and thanks for taking my question. Back at GTC, I believe you discussed a $1 trillion visibility into both your Rubin and Blackwell platform revenue, but I believe that excluded things like LPX, Rubin CPX, and the Vera CPU racks. Could you maybe give us a sense about whether the Vera CPUs are going to be the biggest source of upside above and beyond that $1 trillion? Are you contemplating other sort of combinations of products, including CPUs, that would allow you to gain an even greater share of that total TAM? Thank you.
In terms of incremental above the trillion, I would say one, the continued growing of share of the frontier AI models. I'm expecting to grow more share, and so I'm expecting that to grow. Number two, we didn't include any Vera CPU, standalone CPU, in that number, and so I expect that to be the second largest. The TAM is, of course, quite large in agentic systems, and all of our customers are quite excited about Vera, and we're going to sell a whole bunch of Veras. And then third would be LPX, because as I explained earlier, LPX is designed because of its SRAM architecture, it has the benefit of very low latency, very, very high interactivity, but it's also its throughput, its context processing ability is also quite limited. And that's just kind of the nature of SRAM type based systems. And but the combination, we'll be able to address address the entire spectrum of AI from pre-training to post-training to inference to agentic systems through the combination of Vera Rubin and LPX.
Your next question comes from Joshua Buchalter with TD Cowen. Your line is open.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my question and congrats on the great results. Colette, I believe in your prepared remarks you mentioned GB300 is sort of the fastest ramp in the company's history. How should we think about Vera Rubin against this benchmark? It's obviously a new architecture at the silicon level, but it's similar rack. Does that mean we should expect a similar slope to the Vera Rubin ramp as the GB300, or should it be a bit more gradual given the new silicon? Thank you.
Yeah, well, we have indicated for a while that we will be launching Vera Rubin in the second half. We will start in Q3. That will be our initial pieces together. And then once we get to Q4, we're probably going to start to see our ramping continue. It's hard to say at this point what will be a faster ramp. But again, we have demand already planned. We've got POs. We've got almost all of our major customers ready to go. And these are very complex systems that we need to put together. So I think it's just about the timing that it's going to take for us to get that into market. Nothing else other than getting from production of all of the different systems that we have ready for ordered. So a little early to say, but yes, we're going to start in Q3 and continue to ramp into Q4. And Q1 of next year certainly is going to be very big as well.
There are no further questions at this time. Toshiya Hari, I turn the call back over to you.
Thank you. Before I hand it over to Jensen, please note Jensen will be giving a keynote at GTC Taipei at Computex on June 1st. We will also be participating at the TD Cowen TMT conference on May 28th and the Bank of America Global Technology Conference on June 4th. Our earnings call to discuss the results of our second quarter of fiscal 2027 is scheduled for August 26th. With that, here's Jensen to close us out.
This was an extraordinary quarter. Demand has gone parabolic. The reason is simple. Agentic AI has arrived. AI can now do productive and valuable work. Tokens are now profitable, so model makers are in a race to produce more. In the AI era, compute capacity is revenue and profits. Nvidia is the platform of this era. Of all the platforms in the world, Nvidia Compute supports the richest diversity of demand. Let me highlight my top 5 things. First, Nvidia is the only platform that runs every frontier AI model. With the addition of Anthropic to our existing partners, OpenAI, xAI, Meta MSL, Gemini, and many others, our share of frontier AI is growing. Second, we are in every hyperscale cloud, supporting their core data processing and machine learning workloads, internal AI services, as well as supporting their demand for NVIDIA users in their public cloud services. Third, our full stack complete AI factory solution and vast global ecosystem let us uniquely address new AI data center segments, new AI cloud natives, new AI native clouds, and sovereign AI clouds, and on-premises enterprise and industrial infrastructure. This is that second category I was talking about earlier. Fourth, NVIDIA CUDA extends all the way to the edge. Robotics, autonomous vehicles, embedded medical instruments, AI, RAN, telco, base stations. The next wave is physical AI, with billions of autonomous and robotic systems operating in the physical world. This is the third segment we were talking about earlier. And rounding out the top 5 things, we have a major new growth driver, Vera, the world's first CPU purpose-built for agentic AI. Vera opens a brand new $200 billion TAM for NVIDIA, a market we have never addressed before. And every major hyperscaler and system maker is partnering with us to deploy it. The world is rebuilding computing for agentic AI and robotic physical AI. NVIDIA sits at the center of these transitions. We built NVIDIA Compute Platform over 3 decades. One architecture, vast ecosystem, extreme co-design across chips, systems, networking, and software. We built it ahead of this moment so that when agentic AI arrived, NVIDIA would be ready. It has arrived. Look forward to catching up next time.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.
Well, thank you for sharing your opinions, Mr. Huang. Wow. They always ignore my calls. I always type in one. I'm always trying to give them a question during the question and answers, and they never let me ask a question. I'm just kidding altogether. That was a great earnings report. I wrote down a ton about that. I have my whiteboard here with a ton of different notes. A big focus on agentic AI, but I thought this meme was pretty funny. I saw this during the earnings call, and this also just shows the short-term mentality that some have, because the price action for Nvidia, which we're going to get to in a second, incredible. The pin here with the dealers, again, we drew out the major levels of gamma exposure. Crazy how it rode right alongside the line, but I thought this meme was very funny here, and this is some of the bullish catalysts, some of the bullish numbers that we just got from this earnings report. So they did beat on revenue, coming in at 81.6 billion, and then they announced the $80 billion buyback program. So they've already been buying back shares, but now increasing that all the way up to 80 billion. Wow, that is incredible right there. We've talked about this a lot with Robinhood stock. That is the main stock that I talk about with the buyback program that they have going on. But this is super bullish, because if we're talking about supply and demand, they are going to decrease the shares outstanding, actively buying back. And then also look at that right there, the third picture of Mr. Vince McMahon there going crazy, feeling that climax, because they also announced that their dividend is going up significantly. But then right there you see that he's sad here in the after hours, but really not much price action. Really, this was a pin. Again, crazy enough, we drew out the major levels of gamma exposure, where the major levels of price magnetism were today. If the bulls got their way, we could have went up a bit higher. Pardon me. Get a drink of water here. But yeah, we stayed pinned in between these two levels. Look at that, the most major level of gamma exposure for the bulls and the most major level of gamma exposure for the bears. We talk about this a lot. The dealers, what they want to see is max pain. They want to see as many contracts expire worthless as possible. So right now the puts are not winning, the calls are not winning, pinned right in the middle. And look at how that really acted as such a level of price magnetism. Incredible. A ton to unpack from this earnings call today. So we had, again, the $80 billion share repurchase program. There was a big focus on agentic agents. So AI agentic agents, that really does look like the future. One of the favorite plays that we have on this channel, they recently talked about agentic AI. That is SoundHound AI. Really incredible, the technology. This is AI agents training AI. So AI training AI, less human involvement. Again, just like we talked about at the beginning of all of this, the main use case scenario behind AI, what they ideally want to do is compress time, take away the amount of time it takes for things and the human involvement, all the payroll, everything like that. They are loaded with cash, so they are earning a ton of money, something that Wall Street does love to see. Again, Wall Street is a spoiled brat here. In the after hours, we are seeing just the tiniest of sell-offs, but again, I think this just has to do a lot with the gamma exposure, where the main levels of price magnetism are. Again, the dealers influence a lot of the market, so a lot of hedging and activity going on right now, but really just a flat earnings report. So positive to not see a drain, but just to see some sideways movement. And then also this, I thought, was massive. Not only is this company earning a ton of revenue, but also record free cash flow. So their FCF also at a record. So that is incredible to see, all their money after all the operating expenses and capital expenditures. So that is amazing to see. And then let's see, what else do I have here? I pulled up an article, again, very bullish. This is the main article that came out from Reuters here. It's posted here on Yahoo, but Nvidia forecasts quarterly revenue above estimates. So again, the guidance going forward also tremendous, and then announced that big share repurchase program. That is massive. They have some conferences coming up. Looks like the next earnings is going to be on August 26th. Also, when it came to China, they did not put that in their forecasts for data center revenue. So that wasn't in their forecasts, and still they absolutely crushed on the expectations. And again, there is a ton of use case behind artificial intelligence. As I promised to you guys, I like to show you some entertainment. So we're going to react right here. This is Grand Theft Auto and the history of the United States. What is incredible about artificial intelligence is what it is able to create. So this is just one of the use case scenarios. And I will say, I don't really play a lot of video games anymore, but a big reason why I also don't play video games is because the game industry leaders, they really ruined it for me, because it's all about pay to play now, right? It's like you got to pay for any big incentive. So I think something that may be amazing here in the future is when we get more AI video games created by some indie creators. And so this is just a video, but again, this is pretty funny. This is CJ from Grand Theft Auto. So let me run this, and then we'll get back to the discussion. We have some other things to discuss. One last thing to discuss with the earnings report, but we'll let this video run, and then we'll get to that.
We found it. India. It's my land now. Get the hell out of here. Bloody wanker. Damn. This ain't your hood, fool. Go tax yourself, bitch. Grab your tea and get out of here. What's this fool talking about? It means now your ass needs insurance, fool. Damn, that's cool. Damn it. All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ. Y'all picked the wrong hood, fool. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck you. Yeah, this is really interesting. I'm just gonna listen. Shit! This what happens when you touch gross straight liquor, bitch! Go, go, go! So what's the plan from here? Relax, man. Relax? What you smoking? Well, actually, I think I know. Somebody teach me how to use this thing. Eat this shit, bitch! Oh! We finna make history, homie. To hell with history. Bonsai, baby. Go. America won't forget you, boys. Stand up.
Excuse me. Pardon me.
Damn, she got balls like mine. I have a dream. That's cool. Ah, shit. Man, look at this dummy. What are you even searching for? Don't know about y'all, but I'm proud of this shit. Damn, there's mad people here. What they all up to? I love the smell of napalm in the morning. This must be the American dream. Unbelievable.
Talking about technologies, computers, all of that. Look right there. The Apple Incorporated being founded out in the garage. There's Mr. Steve Jobs right there. Again, it's pretty incredible what AI is able to do. This has told a whole storyline. I say, you know what? Don't even send kids to school anymore. Just show them these Grand Theft Auto videos. Just show them things like this, and they will get an understanding, right?
I love shooting people with the camera, though. It was really hot here yesterday, motherfucker. Man, this can't be real. I know, man. I know. Damn, this fun as hell. Hey, yo, who you supposed to be shooting at? I see you, boy. Like and subscribe, homie.
So I hope you guys appreciate the entertainment there. I just like to switch it up a little bit. Again, I love to talk about the finances. I love to keep it serious. I love to talk about, how the companies are doing, the macroeconomics, everything like that. But also I like to make these live streams a bit fun and just react to fun clips here and there. Also, I wanted to show a clip of my own real quick. This is the last thing to say about Nvidia's earnings. And then also, if you guys want to talk about some other tickers, drop them into the live chat. We could discuss some other tickers before we sign out today. But one thing that Nvidia talked about is their partnership with Uber and how Uber is expected to go more towards a robo taxi fleet. And this should be completed by 2033, which I definitely see. Self-driving cars is going to be the way of the future. This is when I was in a self-driving car. This is from my Washington, D.C. inauguration vlog. So this is Waymo right here. This is Google's technology. So these are their self-driving cars. Just another reason to be bullish on Google because they have their hand in so many different baskets. But look at this. This right here is a self-driving car. Truly incredible. I'll let this clip run, and then again, we could talk about some other tickers. But if you've never seen a self-driving car, truly incredible technology, really shows that we are in the future. And I do believe that Uber will definitely be going this route. We will probably see through the years less and less actual physical human drivers go more towards automation. Report, and here I have my driver coming. The driver is right there. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for taking us. I appreciate the ride today. So this is the future of AI right here, and a lot about what I talk about on my channel is DJT and AI, and this is a perfect example of how these technologies can be used to improve and better our lives. Right here, we don't even have a driver in the car, so this is a completely driverless car. It is being 100% driven by AI. Thank you so much for the ride. That was perfect. Good times, good times. I'm definitely going to do more vlogs here in the future. Let me show you guys something I just bought. I will be right back to the camera, and then again, we'll talk about some individual tickers, but I really had fun doing this Washington, D.C. vlog. I want to do more vlogs. I plan on doing more vlogs. Let me just show you guys what I bought because I'm really going to be that professional YouTuber, that finance guy, and who also has some entertainment with the vlogs. Let me go grab, I'll show you guys. I'll be right back. So look at this right here. This is the DJI Mic Mini. This is like basically what all the professional, vloggers and streamers and all that use. So I'm super excited about this. I don't know when my next vlog will be, but there will definitely be a future vlog coming very soon. I just bought this yesterday along with my brand new mic. So guys, again, we are going to season 2 of Green Money Momentum. All of this is super exciting, really getting more professional here, really fixing up the background, fixing the audio quality, fixing up the website, and doing so much. But look at this right here. This is like the professional mic. So wow, I'm just so impressed with this. This is going to be so exciting, guys. Like the future of Green Money Momentum, the future of these markets. If you've been following me, you know that I have a bullish stance on the markets. I mean, look at what we just saw from Nvidia's earnings today. Amazing. They just crushed on expectations. Another killer quarterly. This company is constantly providing results, and we've been seeing that with a lot of different big corporations. And so Wall Street loving what they are seeing. Main Street making a lot of noise. A lot of Main Street is in a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. A lot of panic, understandably so. Costs are rising, but Wall Street doesn't really care about that. They are proving that with how the markets have been rising most recently. Again, we are at all-time highs on both of the major indexes. So another amazing quarterly. So I'm very excited about the markets going forward, very excited for Green Money Momentum and the vlogging that we are going to be doing. I mean, just look at this professional microphone right here. It's like one you clip into your phone, one you clip on to your shirt and everything like that. And I appreciate that, my friend. And seriously, thank you for the support. While I'm still a small channel, and I'll always feel this way, so even if I grow to hundreds of thousands of subs, I really do appreciate the support, because I've been doing YouTube since I was a kid. My earliest videos on YouTube, I was making about the WWE. So I was a big fan of wrestling, just like I was showing Vince McMahon earlier. And so as a kid, I used to make videos reporting on the WWE, similar to how I do the daily talk of stock now. I used to do like the daily talk of WWE. I would do a show after Monday Night Raw, after Friday Night SmackDown. And so I've been doing YouTube for a long time. This is truly a passion of mine. I'm very passionate about the financial markets, very passionate about YouTube, and to have an audience that wants to listen to me talk, it really does mean the world to me. So to all of you who showed support today, I really do appreciate it. Let me go back through the chat, because there was some that I missed here while I was letting those clips run. And then I have noticed you have up your shirt game. Oh, thank you. This is for Jensen Huang. Look at that. Boom. Beautiful Robin Hood logo. But this is for Jensen Huang, because he's always wearing the black leather jacket. I don't have a black leather jacket, but I got this black jacket, and he has the black shirt, just like we were looking at the memes earlier, the Jensen Huang outfit here right there. That's the Jensen Huang outfit. And then again, going back to the memes, funny enough, just like the famous quote from Warren Buffett, I'm sure you guys have all heard it: a bull market is like sex, it feels best right before it ends. So do the markets feel the best they will feel, or do you think that profits will get better? Forward-looking guidance with Nvidia looks tremendous. The future with AI looks tremendous. So I don't think that we are at the climax just yet. I think there is still a lot of pumps to go forward. So the bull market, in my opinion, still has further to go. And with that being said, again, there will be some negativity online around Nvidia, or sometimes your favorite stocks, because despite Nvidia just coming out with killer quarterlies, it's just basically flat. Again, really no fear to me looking at gamma exposure levels just right around the clusters. But so many will talk shit, say, hey, bro, you got to get out of Nvidia, man. Did you not see that little bit of a price drop that it had after earnings, bro? Dude, I wouldn't hold that for more than 10 seconds, bro. You might lose everything. $5.5 trillion market cap, brother. That might go down to zero. Nvidia might get delisted. Don't listen to those people. Those are just the people calling you a dreamer, a failure, a loser, a gambler, a scammer, and a scammer. There you are as the trader, but don't keep that head down. Put it up and say, baby, we're going a lot higher on this bull market. There he is. Look at that. That man has a ton of money. Don't listen to the haters. Nvidia ain't getting delisted anytime soon. And then here I was today with my 2 shares, all official. Thank you to all who joined me, and brace yourselves. Nvidia is coming. It's came and went. So very exciting altogether. Again, the actual results here for us investors who really listened to everything was pretty bullish. CJ was a legend in the gaming world. What a classic Grand Theft Auto that was. And what strike and expiration, microtransactions killed gaming. I cannot agree with you enough. Seriously, my favorite video game of all time. I'm a big fan of basketball, NBA 2K. I used to love playing NBA 2K and playing my career mode. Man, those days were so much fun, but then they just killed the game. You used to start out as like a 65 overall, and then if you put in $20, like an NBA 2K13, your guy would boost up to like a 90, right? So it would actually be worth it to put in $20. The last time I played 2K, I think it was like 2K22 or 23, $20 would get you to go from like a 60 to like a 60 to like a 65, like a 65 to a 70. You would make such little progress, and you're dumping in real dollars. Yeah, these gaming corporations are super greedy. So with artificial intelligence, I really do hope that there isn't a bunch of red tape with corporations buying all the patents or whatever it is for the gaming industry. And I really hope us indie creators creators, people who want to create video games are able to, or we can all just create our own video game. I really do look forward to the future of gaming, and that is because I would like to see these greedy corporations, because that's really what they are. They are just extracting so much money and having no quality with their games. I would like to see them go down, because I do not support the microtransactions and just how terrible it is for a user experience now. And then Thomas Otto said, hi guys, BBII has some news today. New Panama connection, but the roller coaster doesn't stop. Well, hey, thank you very much. Let's see. I didn't really focus on much other stocks today. I was very, very busy. So let me type in Big Bear AI stock here, and let's see. Let's react to the news here in real time. Well, hey, that is awesome. This is what we were just talking about in our video of Big Bear the other day. We need to see Big Bear start to pick up some contracts, things like that. Need to start seeing some progress. We saw the Ask Sage acquisition was a positive, but the last quarterly for Big Bear, they didn't really do too much overall. So, hey, great to see that Big Bear is making some progress on their side of the business. And yeah, with this, again, it's crazy, guys. Again, I'm not saying this is an exact, science. I'm not saying that this is, exactly always, the most accurate thing, but pretty accurate overall. Just the tool that we use to help us, it really helps to show where a lot of clusters are, and in my opinion, where the real levels of support and resistance lie. And as I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, Big Bear AI stuck between $4 and $4.50 right now, with those being the major levels of gamma exposure. A ton of calls and puts right around 4, and then some calls around 4.50, but more calls than puts. Again, the dealers ideally want to see as many contracts expire worthless as possible. A lot of hedging, a lot of buying and selling going on, and a lot of price suppression, volatility suppression, keeping the volatility dampened. We already have these levels drawn out here. 450, a higher mark. So it's been stuck between 450 and for the major levels of gamma exposure with Big Bear AI. Again, sticking true to those major levels of gamma exposure. So with that, not surprised that the roller coaster does continue. I would not be surprised if Big Bear finishes like a cent or two below 4 or above 4 this week once again. But let's see what the key takeaways from this are. Let's see. So the stock holds gains as defense AI contracts pick up. Is this, I don't know if that's actually showing a new one. Let's just type in Big Bear AI stock again, see if there's a more clean article here. Again, I appreciate everyone for being here. This is how we always do the earnings reports. We always start with the company that we talk about. Then we have a little bit of fun, react to some memes or some videos. And then after that, we will get into other news or other stocks. So again, if there's any tickers that you want to see me talk about, drop that in the live chat. Big Bear AI and international shipping compliance announce first and deployment of AI-powered supply chain security platform in Panama's Dry Canal. Heck yes. Let's see. Another big deal for Big Bear AI. I'll have to do some more research on this later, but hey, that is exciting. Thank you for sharing that with us, Thomas Otto. But just like Thomas was saying, we got a lot of gamma exposures around 4 and 450, and the stock is remaining pinned at these levels. And let's see what else everyone's saying. Sound a 20. Yes, Apply Digital is pretty nice. Oh, hey, Neximus, thank you for joining us, my friend. You say, I'm finally here early. I always come at the end of the stream because of my farm. Oh, well, hey, a farmer, a hardworking man. That's great to hear. And then that is so funny. Yes, 2K got destroyed. You're right. Yeah, it was an amazing game at one point, but it has gotten so microtransaction heavy. It's truly disgusting, I swear. So anyways, guys, I'm about to start closing some tabs here. Again, another successful live stream. I always have so much fun doing this. As I always say, I feel most live when I am going live. Let me know before I sign out here. I will talk about some different individual tickers if there's anything that you guys want to talk about. Overall, the stock market today was pretty green. So when we do look at the heat map, a great day overall. A lot of anticipation for Nvidia's earnings, Nvidia did not disappoint. I am not at all concerned about the short-term price action that we saw today. Look at that beautiful heat map right there. As I've been saying, I do feel that we have a rotation going back into technology. Advanced micro devices having a massive day. Intel, MU, Nvidia, TSM, the semiconductors, they are killing it once again. Let's take a look here. Someone was mentioning SoundHound here in the live chat. SoundHound having a pretty flat day overall. Again, they are doing a lot with agentic AI. There's a lot of gamma exposure, a lot of calls placed right around $10 for SoundHound AI. That has been acting as a major level of neckline resistance. So SoundHound right now has been being pinned under that level. Let's see, who else do we have here? Robinhood. Let's take a look here at Robinhood. Robinhood had a pretty decent day, I'm pretty sure, overall, up by 1.40%. So very small movements for Robinhood overall. But let's continue to see the positive movements, because right now we are at a spot where if things get worse, we could break under this neckline where we're at right now. Technically seeing what could be considered a bearish cross on the MACD, still flat on the RSI. Talking about levels of gamma exposure, 80 and 85 have been acting as major levels of resistance for Robinhood. I do feel that if we can really break above that 80 and not get pinned underneath that, Robinhood has a massive future ahead, and there could be big potential for the price action to rubber band right back up to $100 and back into those prices where we were at previously before the big drop after October, right around 100, 120, 150 at its peak. So I am super bullish on Robinhood. I say it all the time. I'm a big fan. I'm actually wearing the Robinhood shirt right now. So Robinhood, I am very bullish on overall. Advanced micro devices, we have some discussions on AMD today. Again, a big day for AMD. I am very bullish on advanced micro devices overall. I know there was recently a massive gap opened up here, but there was also a massive gap opened up all the way back here. And I know that gaps are oftentimes meant to be filled, but we did not fill that gap, and I don't think we are going to anytime soon with how bullish this sector is looking overall. So what a fun live stream it was again, everybody. This was Nvidia's live earnings, all the boats rising together. Thank you to everyone for attending today. Let's see, is there anything else I want to talk about before I get off? As you guys could tell, I could talk for a million years. I love talking. So let's see if there's any other. Oh, Applied Digital. I just want to point out Applied Digital, if you're still here, Chrysanthemum. I know you are a big fan of APLD, APLD having a massive day overall, a very bullish trend, seeing some higher lows and lower highs be created within Applied Digital. Overall, a very bullish trend towards the upside. Super bullish on this company. Again, there's still a lot of building costs associated with these data centers, but this company is earning a ton of revenue. Great to still see that you are here in the live chat. Yes, I love Applied Digital. I look forward to the next time we do have another earnings with Applied Digital. Overall, you know, the markets were very green today. It looks like when we do look at the major indexes, both did trail off a little bit today at the end of the day with Nvidia's earnings, but still finishing in the green. Overall, a positive day for the stock market. A lot of positive catalysts going forward. Nvidia killing it once again. I am bullish on Nvidia. I am bullish on technology. I am bullish on AI, robotics, quantum, and the future that we are going into. Incredible the amount of tools that we have in today's time here in 2026. The elimination of the PDT trading rule happening here in less than 15 days. Incredible. I am so excited. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on another live stream. This is Trevor with Green Money Momentum. I'm signing out, but before I do, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done done so, again, we go live every single Sunday, just 30 minutes before the stock market opens for the overnight session. And we will often do these earnings calls around technology, around different technology plays. So yes, thank you so much, Chrysanthemum. Thank you so much, Two Wheels. Thank you so much, Dame. And thank you to everybody else who joined me on the live stream today. The next time I will see you all will be for the next daily talk of stocks. So I will see you all tomorrow. Everybody have a great rest of your Wednesday.